We're going to start with course 1.
A bass amplifier is an electronic device which strengthens and transfers the signal from a bass's pickup to one or more speakers. A bass amp is specifically constructed to handle the low, strong frequencies of the bass. An electric bass guitar is a lower-pitched instrument with a solid wooden body that requires amplification to be heard. These instruments are equipped with pickups to convert string vibration into sound. Round-wound bass strings are coarse to the touch and provide a bright metallic sound. They are commonly used in rock and pop music. Flat-wound bass strings are smooth to the touch and provide a warm, low-end sound. They are commonly used in R&B and classic country.
Let's get ready to play the bass. We're going to cover the gear that you need, how to attach the strap, we're going to talk about the amp, and what to do if you need any additional help. Now, besides the bass, you're also going to need an amp, a cable, a strap, a tuner, and a pick if you'd like to use one. Now, here's the rundown with the gear. We need an amp so we can hear the bass properly. You need a cable so you can connect the two. We need a tuner so we sound good and we're playing the correct notes. And we can use our fingers to pluck the strings, but you can also use a pick if you'd like. And we need a strap so we don't drop the bass. Any questions? The strap helps us securely hold the bass. It's helpful even while sitting down. Most straps have an adjustable buckle and loop. Adjust it to your preferred height and comfort level. I have my strap right here. Let's attach it to the bass. We have 2 strap buttons, one on each end of the body. Make sure the strap isn't twisted when you put it on. You don't want to drop your bass. We need an amplifier to play the electric bass. It doesn't make much sound on its own. We need to understand a few parts about the amp, including the input jack, volume knob, and power switch. Now it's time to plug in. With your amp turned off, you're going to plug in one end of the cable into the amp where it says input and the other into your bass input. Find the volume knob on the amp and set it to 0. Then find the volume knob on your bass and turn it up. Switch on the amp and gradually increase the volume until you have sound. If you still don't hear any sound, we need to do some troubleshooting. Make sure you check the following: that your amp is plugged into the wall, double check that your cable jacks are plugged all the way into your amplifier and your bass, and be sure that the volume knobs are turned up. If you still don't have any sound, contact your nearest dealer. And don't worry, it's usually just an issue with the cable. Now that you know how to plug in your bass and attach the strap, you're ready to tear the roof off. I'll catch you next time.
A bass line is a sequence of notes played on the bass guitar which helps to support the rest of the band. A bass line emphasizes chord tones, song key, and rhythmic pulse. The groove is a persistent, repeated rhythmic pattern which helps to drive a song forward and contributes to the overall feel.
The role of the bass player just might be the most important in the band. When you're at a concert banging your head or moving your body on the dance floor, it's all because of the groove. The bass not only sets the foundation for the entire band, but it sets the groove or the feel of the song by how it locks in with the drums and percussion. Let's check out some bass lines playing along to different style drum beats. Listen to how the bass interacts with the drums, how it moves the music forward. First up, we have a straightforward rock and roll rhythm. Now we're going to branch out to a different style with a funk rhythm. Notice how there's more space in between the notes and the bass interacts differently to the beat. Regardless of style, the drums and bass establish the groove. The groove is the musical foundation that all of the other instruments rely upon, including the guitar, keyboards, and vocals. Remember, the bassist serves a crucial role. You're essentially the glue that holds the band together. And now that we've talked about the role of a bass player, it's time to explore what you can do with the instrument. Have fun practicing.
An active bass has pickups that are powered by a built-in preamp which boosts the signal and gives you more options to control your tone. The preamp is typically powered by a battery. A passive bass has traditional pickups which are not powered by active electronics. These pickups transfer the natural tone of the bass to the amplifier.
Let's get familiar with your new bass. In this lesson, we'll talk about the parts of your bass guitar and 2 ways to identify your bass strings. The bass has 3 main parts: the body, the neck, and the headstock. The body contains the bridge, the string saddles the strings rest on, and the strings go through the back of the body or they head through the bridge. We also have the pickups, we have the volume and tone knobs, we have the pick guard, we also have the output jack, And we have the strap buttons. On the neck, we have the nut, the frets, the actual fretboard, and we have fret markers. And now we're on to the headstock. This is where we have the tuning pegs. The strings are wrapped around the posts, and we can tighten or loosen them to tune our bass guitar. And this little thing right here, that's called a string tree. That's what keeps the strings down. The bass has 4 strings, and each string has its own letter name and number name. Starting with the first string, the skinniest string, that's the first string, and it's also known as G. Then next to it, we have the second string, that's the letter D. Next, we have the third string, which is A. And then the thickest string is number 4, that's the E string. Each string has a designated pitch or sound. The sound wave vibrates at a different frequency. Remember, the tighter the string, the higher the pitch. And the looser the string, the lower the pitch. Let's walk through the strings one more time. We have first string G, second string is D, third string A, fourth string E. If you need help memorizing the string locations, just remember the phrase, "get dizzy at Easter," starting from the first string. You just learned about the parts of the bass and the string names. Get those strings memorized. They'll come in handy for all the new things you're about to learn. Keep at it, and I'll see you later.
First introduced in 1960 as the deluxe model, the Fender Jazz Bass features a narrower and more rounded neck, a more contoured body, and a brighter, richer tone in the mid-range and treble compared to Fender's earlier precision bass model. The precision bass, or P-bass, was the first electric bass to be widely used in popular music. First designed in 1950 by Leo Fender, the precision bass has a wide neck with a deeper and punchier tone when compared to Fender's later jazz bass model.
Let's talk about the components that help create the sound of the electric bass and how they can be adjusted and changed. The components that shape the sound can be found on the body of the bass guitar. They include the pickups and the volume and tone controls. Now let's take a look at these and be sure that your bass is plugged into an amp and switched on. To begin, make sure your volume and tone knobs are all the way up. Now let's first try working with the volume knob. Just pluck any string and then roll off on the volume knob. Pretty straightforward there. Now let's try working with the tone knob. We're going to pluck another string, and we'll notice that one way we have a brighter sound, and when we turn the knob that opposite direction, we have a darker sound. Notice how this is more of a darker sound. Adjust the knob the other direction. Now we have a brighter sound. There are many different combinations you can achieve with your volume and tone controls to adjust the sound of your pickups. For example, this bass has 2 pickups, 1 volume, and 1 tone. Your bass might have more or less pickups, or even additional volume and tone knobs. So what are pickups? Technically, a pickup is an electronic magnet that converts the vibration of the strings into the sound that we hear through the amp. Simply put, pickups are like the microphones for the bass strings. They pick up the sound. Understanding the components of your electric bass is an important step in developing your sound. But just remember, The first step is all in your hands. Keep practicing, and I'll see you later. So why do we need to tune the bass? Well, first off, we can't play a song correctly unless we're in tune. Tuners can shift out of place. The wood of our instrument can be affected by temperature and humidity changes. Bottom line is, your tuning has to be checked often. The bass has 4 strings, number 1 through 4. Here's string number 1, string number 2, string number 3, and string number 4. Each string is attached to a tuning peg. To find out which string is attached to which peg, follow the string along to the headstock and see where it ends. Many bass guitars have all the tuning pegs on the same side. Let's talk about strings and pitch. The thicker the string, the lower the pitch. The thinner the string, the higher the pitch. Each string needs to be tuned to a certain note, and each note has a name. The first string is G. The second string is tuned to the note D. Third string is A. And the fourth string is E. Remember the phrase, "get dizzy at Easter," to help you memorize the order. Now let's tune. We'll use the Fender Tune app, and first we'll check the E string. You can change the pitch of a string by turning the tuning peg. To raise the pitch, turn the tuning peg away from you. This will tighten the string. To lower the pitch, turn the peg towards you. This will loosen the string. It's a good idea to let your note ring out and let it sustain as you make your tuning adjustment. We need that tuner to pick up the frequency of the string so you can tune properly. Also, make sure you double check yourself by using your ear. Make sure you're really listening to the note. Make sure you're moving in the right direction. And one more thing, tuning up to the note will help you stay in tune better. So if your note is too high, you need to go below pitch on purpose and then tune back up to the note. So now let's move on to the A string. Looks like it's a little low, so I need to raise the pitch, turn it away from me. All set. Onto the D string now. This time I'm a little too high, so I'm going to intentionally go below pitch and then tune up to the note so it'll stay in tune better. There we go. And last we have the G string. Looks like we're a little low. This is just one way to help you get started with tuning your bass. Some other ways to tune include using Fender Online, a Fender clip-on tuner, or some bass guitars even feature a built-in tuner. As you progress, you'll even be able to tune by ear.
Okay, I'm going to use a different tuner. Let's go into Musician app.
Let's talk about the amplifier. We're going to cover why we use it and how to plug in gear. And we're also going to talk about effects and what all those different knobs can do. When playing the electric bass, the amp is just as important to the sound as your instrument. You probably noticed that you can't hear the bass too well without an amp. And besides just increasing the volume, your amp is also capable of creating many sounds and tones. We need an instrument cable to plug in our bass to the amplifier. You take one end of the cable, plug it into your bass input, then take the other end of the cable and plug it into your amp input. Make sure the volume knob on your bass is turned up and that the volume knob on your amplifier is turned down. Then you switch on the amp and gradually increase the volume knob on your amp until you get sound. One of the most fun things about the electric bass is the variety of sounds that you can create. Many people use effects pedals, but there are a lot of amps that come with built-in effects, such as reverb, distortion, and delay. They're available at the touch of a button or the turn of a knob. For example, here's a clean tone, and here's what our bass sounds like with some distortion. To fine-tune your basic clean tone, take a look at the tone knob. It adjusts the EQ. A sweep to the left produces a warmer tone, and to the right gives you a brighter sound. Now, many amps actually have multiple knobs for the EQ adjustment, for low, mid-range, and high-end. Don't be afraid to adjust the knobs and see what kind of sounds you can come up with. Right now, I have the tone knobs all set at 12 o'clock. Here's what it sounds like with the treble and bass knobs cranked. Now I'm going to back off on the bass and treble and crank up the mids. Understanding how to use your amp is important to developing your sound. Plug in and play often. Let's get more familiar with your bass strings while developing your rhythm hand technique. We have strings number 1 through 4, letter names G, D, A, E. So first string G, second string D, third string A, fourth string E. You can use the phrase "get dizzy at Easter" if it helps you recall the order of the strings. For this exercise, we're only playing open strings, which means we don't have to worry about fretting any of the notes. We're also going to be using our index finger for plucking the strings. We're going to say and play each string 4 times in descending order, starting from the first string G. It'll sound like this. G, 2, 3, 4, and D, 2, 3, 4, A, 2, 3, 4, and E, 2, 3, 4. Now let's try that in ascending order. So we're starting from the 4th string E. Sounds like this. E, 2, 3, 4, A, 2, 3, 4, D, 2, 3, 4, and G, 2, 3, 4. Now we're going to run through the drill in descending and ascending order 5 times in a row, except we'll only play each note twice. We'll start on the first string G. I'll count you in. 1, 2, 3, 4. G, D, A, E, E, A, D, G, and repeat. D, A, E, E, A, D, G, G, D, A, E, E, A, D, G. This is the 4th time through. A, E, E, A, D, G. One more time. D, A, E, E, A, D, G. Playing each string will help you get more comfortable with your bass. Keep at it, and I'll see you later.